Do you want to save money on your next crawl space renovation? If that interests you at all, then you are at the right place. This is renovation of the nose, and we're going to talk about how to save you money to when you renovate your house because it smells so musty bad. First of all, do you know what causes that musty smell? People don't think it's mold, but it certainly is mold. What happens is water gets into an area and it doesn't dry fast enough. And so mold is created, and mold likes warm, dark, and wet. So what's your basement? What's your crawl space? All those things, they love it. They really like cardboard in there too. They're going to eat the cardboard, and that's their food so it can live and grow and multiply. And that mold makes that smell. And when you start smelling that smell, your body isn't working so well. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Thank you for joining us. If you're just joining us for the first time, we'd love it if you'd go down and hit the subscribe button. That will let you be notified every time we have a new video, whether it's renovation of the nose or renovation of the mind, how to fix your worst nightmare. You'll be notified. So hopefully you don't have nightmares. Maybe that'll be next week's. I did just have another couple call and they've decided to fold. They're not fixing it. They're going to sell it because they've painted everything. But that's another topic. So don't paint. Don't enzyme. Call OdorXit. But renovation of your crawl space today. I had another lady call this week, and that's really what we're basing today's call off of, is she had a musty smell coming up through, well, she had a restaurant, really nice restaurant in Roanoke, Virginia, and it was a renovated old 100-year-old building, and the floorboards, they kind of get spaces over time, but still very beautiful. But the smell from the crawl space was coming up into a restaurant and was kind of ruining the ambiance while people were eating a romantic dinner. So she really needed to fix that. And of course, during these COVID times, that smell grew because it was empty and the air wasn't moving from people walking through and kind of stirring it up. So the smell got worse, and she got an estimate on renovating. It was pretty huge. I think it was like 4,000 square feet crawl space. I don't remember how tall it was, but crawl space means you're not standing up straight. So it wasn't real high, but it was real stinky. And they shared that stink throughout the whole building. How nice. So she got a $40,000 estimate to remediate that crawl space. Now, not sure what they were going to do, put in drain spouts to take water away, rebuild the wall, waterproof it, do a lot of things with $40,000. I can think of a bunch. We won't go there. So I guess she was having nightmares of spending this money, and especially with the restaurant closed and COVID and not knowing how things were going to turn out, when she was going to be able to open, and even being open 50% capacity as we are here in Ohio. How do you make that money back? Because it's not an improvement that you can sell. Look, I just redone my kitchen. It's worth $20,000 more. Oh, but I paid $40,000. So I guess she had how you go to sleep and you think on things and things just kind of brew and answers come to you. I think it's a God thing. Well, her God thing, thank you, God. She thought, I got this email from an Odor something. I'm going to have to look and see what that was. Well, she looked us up in her email. She found OdorXit, and she found our AQM packets. Let's see if you can see those without a reflection. She spent $250 used her AQM. These are what she bought, actually, the larger size, because it was a big area, 4,000 square feet. And these, I think she bought 5 of these because these go by surface area, so cubic feet. And you got to count the floor, the ceiling, the walls, the space, the height. And I guess in about a week, week and a half, the smell was completely gone. You couldn't smell it in the crawl space. You couldn't smell it in the restaurant. And people came in. And, once the smell is gone, you don't remember too much there was a smell there, unless you've been the one to take care of it. But nobody really noticed. The business kept picking up. And she was very grateful. She went from $40,000 to $250,000. And you can do the same thing too. What's happening in her crawl space, in anybody's crawl space, you look and there's no leak. There's no water coming in. So how does it get there? How does the mold even come in? Well, a couple ways. Condensation, the change in temperature outside versus inside, and you get that moisture on the wall. Your windows could be leaking. Your stone foundation, moisture could be coming through there in a rain. Maybe it's not where you can see water on the floor, a big puddle on the floor. It's just moisture that you can't see. It will grow. It will eat boards. If you've got 2x4s, if you've got 6x6 boards holding up the floor, your joists, those are all wood. If you got storage down there, cardboard boxes, if it's your basement, all those things are food for mold, and so they're not going away. Another piece of that puzzle, a lot of people will turn on a dehumidifier, thinking they're taking away the water, and that's going to stop the problem. I remember living in my basement as a kid, my parents' basement, I should say, and I always had the dehumidifier on because it always smelled musty. We did have a leak. My dad fixed it, and we never really got rid of the mold after that. And maybe that's why I am the way I am today. How are you, Deb? We're not going to answer that. But it always smelled musty. And, as a kid, you take out all your records, your 33s, and sell them, and they always smelled musty. Well, today, these products, this AQM, will get rid of that without damaging anything. The cardboard covers on your records. Now, cardboard boxes are not good for the AQM. The AQM gets absorbed by that cardboard and it will not work. But in a basement like mine with that moisture, how many years did it take for that moisture to accumulate to make that mold? So what she did in her crawl space, she's not going to have to do again for, depending on how much water is coming in there, 5 years, 10 years. It's hard to say, but it took years. I said this is a 100-year-old building. It took years for that mold, those spores, that odor to build up. It's going to take a long time for that to come back because these packets go after the root of the spores. They stop it from coming back, and it's not coming back until the moisture builds up again, the condensation, or you do have a leak. What if your downspouts are pointed so that water drips into the basement? Then it's going to come back. You're going to have to use it again. But in general, she got tired of it. She opened up her restaurant. It didn't smell bad. Over time, it accumulated. So, it's taken a long time. In your basement, your house is going to be the same way. It's not a monthly treatment. It's a one and done for a year, 10 years. If you have a cabin in the woods that's overgrown with trees, and you're probably going to have to do it every season because it's just the nature of where that cabin is located. It's got surrounded by dirt floors and dirt and trees overhanging and the moisture and the leaves. And so in a cabin in the woods, yeah, maybe you do have to use it every season. But depending on how big your cabin is, this will do 1,000 square feet of surface area. So 1,000 cubic feet. And it's $25. Can you afford $25 once a season to make sure your cabin smells fresh at the beginning and while you're camping there? Absolutely. You can't afford to not do it. If your people go in, if you're renting it, or if you're doing it and you're coming home and you're smelling musty on your clothes, that's not good. You're breathing that all day long. Often washing it won't make it go away. So you need to do that. You can, if your closet leaks and there's moisture in your closet and now your clothes smell of that mold spores as well, one of these packets will work there too. What you do is you separate your clothes on a hanger so that gas can flow between the garments, and just put it behind a fan and blow that gas at the clothes in the closet. And it will circulate throughout the whole room. It will go between the clothes. And what it does is oxidize those spores, which makes them, it technically adds more oxygen to it and makes them go away, and they don't come back. Now, again, you got to remove the cardboard in there. If you've got storage and cardboard, get it out, put the stuff into a plastic container, because that cardboard will eat it. You know what? And let me back up here. The dehumidifier, I left off there. The dehumidifier in the basement, that is taking away water. And what mold says is, you're trying to kill me. No, I'm not dying. So it produces more spores. So the dehumidifier is not going to help you once you already smell those spores in the area. So get rid of the dehumidifier. Once you get rid of that smell and it's still moist down there, put the dehumidifier back on. It will take away that moisture to help keep it dry so the spores don't come back. But if you've got spores, you've got that smell in there now, turn off the dehumidifier. It is not helping you. I have a friend who he lived in a house that was very moldy. Unfortunately, it still is, and it makes him really sick. But he would come to meetings, and I'd be standing here talking to somebody, and I could smell him walk up behind me. I knew who it was because it smelled of mold. Don't be that person. You probably, if that's the case, you've got mold and spores throughout your whole house. So one of these packets for $25 is not going to be enough. And honestly, if you've got that mold smell in the basement, you've got the AC or the furnace going, and the air is going through the ducts and going back through the cold air return, one packet is not enough. You've got to do the whole house, because it starts in the basement and then it feeds throughout the whole air system, and you got spores everywhere. So to really stop it, you've got to get to all the spores. So you need to put a couple of these on each floor. This green one is the 25. It's $50, and it will do 2,000 cubic feet or 2,000 square feet of surface area. So you're counting furniture, walls, ceiling, dividers, whatever you got in there. This one actually is good for like a living room, dining room, kitchen area. And this one is good for two normal sized bedrooms or one master bedroom. So that'll kind of help you decide how much you need, but do it on every story of your house to be able to get rid of all those spores floating through so it doesn't come back. Let's see. There was something else I was just popped into my brain to mention. And my lady with the restaurant, she was able to pass a air quality test, mold test at the end of all that. with no recognizable enough mold spores in there to harm anybody. We also, years ago, I bought a house, and I was negotiating it as a short sale. Excuse me. And the bank had the people had moved out, still owned by them, but the bank had gone in, turned off the electric, and which turned off the sump pump, which didn't take the water out of the basement when it rained, and it got like 2 inches of water in there. And then it got like 4 foot of mold on the walls. And hang on, I got something over here. It's printed out in black and white, so I don't know how well you can see it. Well, actually, maybe not so bad. This is concrete. Well, actually, it's drywall in a basement. And you can see how high the mold rose from just 2 inches of water. Now, it was summer, it was July, it was humid, it was awful. So, but that humidity is what made that mold grow. Just no airflow, nothing in there. And let's see, this one goes this way. So you can see how much mold that is. And what we did there is we started putting some of these packets in the basement to kind of control the mold growth. There was so much moisture in there, they were spent in a day. So that was really just wasting product. What we did do then is put those packets upstairs. So this was in the basement. These pictures were in the basement. We put the packets upstairs to stop mold from coming up the steps. We built a plastic little runway so that you couldn't go from one area to the other and drag all the spores. You had to walk through this plastic little created hallway out to the garage where we were taking all of the debris. What we did, and I hired people to do this. So, some of this can be done yourself. Some of this, you need to have somebody who's got a little bit of smarts, is going to wear a Tyvek suit if they're dealing with this much mold. There are some jobs you should not do yourself. If you just have a musty smell in your basement and there's no visible mold, easy peasy, you should do those. You got little bits of mold that you can see, you can do that too. You got big, massive mold like this, think about what you're doing, read up on it. I do have a mold certification degree, so I knew how to direct people to do what they were doing, and they'd done it before. So, be safe about it. Wear a respirator. I know masks are a big deal in the news these days, and they block your oxygen intake. So keep track of that. But a respirator helps keep those spores out. We talked about mold loving warm, dark, wet places. You know where else that is? It's not just your basement, it's your lungs. So mold really likes to live in your lungs, and you don't want that. That's going to make you very hard to breathe. You don't want that. And that's my friend who smelled so bad. He's having lung issues, and because he's got nowhere to move to. That's what's in his house. So he uses a lot of AQM just to keep it reasonable for him to live there. But so we were tearing down the drywall in that basement, putting it into thick plastic bags, taking it through our little plastic walkway, keeping the spores that we were disturbing and putting into the air, keeping them all protected from the rest of the house, and threw them out into a dumpster out in the garage. Kept doing that to get all that stuff out. We really kept the mold down in the house and got rid of all that. We sprayed moms. Do I have moms? I don't seem to have moms within reach. Maybe I do. No, I don't. Looking for anything blue on my desk, and I don't see one. So the moms is the same chlorine dioxide that these packets are, but you put the packet into water and it becomes a spray. So we sprayed all of the furring strips, the 2x4s, the concrete that was left after we took this drywall out and threw it all away, so that we could get rid of all that mold and it was not going to come back. We Once we got rid of all that, got rid of the dumpster, got rid of our Tyvek suits, anything that had come in contact with the mold in the basement, we got rid of. We cleaned our respirator and that sort of thing that wasn't throwaway worthy. We put these packets throughout the whole house. So we cleaned it all up. We put these packets through there. This house, when we were all complete, passed a air quality test for mold. There was no mold spores whatsoever in the house when we were done. Chlorine dioxide does that, and that's what's in here. This is the gas that's in these packets, is chlorine dioxide. You can look it up on the website. If you're on our email list, we often will send out emails, and there's a link in there that goes to somebody else's website that talks about chlorine dioxide and how effective it is, because if I tell you, you'll think I don't know what I'm talking about. So I wanted somebody else to tell you. But chlorine dioxide and what they say and what it is, it's 2.6 times more effective than chlorine. It is adding extra oxygen molecules to chlorine, and that's what makes it so effective. That's what makes it safer than anything else out there. You can actually spray your hands. It will oxidize mold spores. This is the product we also talked about last week to get rid of cigarette smoke smells. It works. It gets rid of mothball smell, allergens in the air, dust mite matter. When I don't sweep my house quite often enough, and there's lots of dog fur and cat fur, I can't breathe really well, and I sniff a lot and blow my nose and sneeze and my eyes water. And if I've just petted the dog and then I touch my eyes water even more. What I do is get the moms out. Mold stands for mold, odor, mildew, smoke. Spray my hands, spray the doorknobs, spray light switch plates, spray the curtains, because it goes after the dust. It adds oxygen and twists and turns it and stops it from doing anything harmful to me anymore. I don't know what it does to me, but I sprayed the drapes, and I could go 2 more weeks without dusting. And you can too. Buy Moms. Moms agree. Moms is great. So we have, I don't know, we don't think we have the mold test results on our website anymore. We used to, but if you'd like to see them, excuse me, we can certainly get those for you. We have lots of mold stories. The product is kind of magic. We call it Air Quality Manager, but it's really magic. Chlorine dioxide is something, it's a well-kept secret. So if you've got smells, if you're rehabbing houses, if you're trying to sell your house and got it listed, but it's got this musty smell, get a couple packets for each story of the AQM. It's going to get rid of it. You're going to be able to sell your house for a lot more money. People aren't going to want a discount because it smells bad. If you're watching this video, you know how to get rid of smells. And if you're questioning what product, how to get rid of them, call us, 877-OdorXit. We show Odors the exit. So if you're rehabbing houses and the buyer wants to do a mold test and you're not sure how that's going to turn out, use some AQM packets first. Because if you do fail a mold test, you have to transfer those results to any future buyers. If you're renting it, to every tenant that wants to live there, you have to show them the data that it was cleaned up, and everybody who lives there in the future has to know that. It's kind of like lead-based paint. Lead-based paint, is more expensive, and I don't know any real shortcuts to get rid of that. OdorXit has no answer for that because lead-based paint doesn't smell. So we can't help you there. But if you have questions, comments, you can go to our live chat down below, and I'd be happy to take them. Thank you all for tuning in. If you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. So if you think you can tackle this mold job, you can. And if you need more insight, help on whatever you're doing, our helpline is always there for you. You can send us emails at info@odorxit.com and we'll get back to you. You can call us on our helpline, 877-636-7948 or 877-OdorXit. And we're happy to help you make things the best they can be for you. But if you got smells, we got answers. So AQM, let's see what else it says on here. The moms, I have to do a session on only moms. This will get rid of cooking odors, or any kind of burnt food smells, fire smoke smells. It oxidizes those things. It just adds more oxygen. And mostly it's safe to be in the room while this is working. If you put this big packet that does 2,000 square feet of surface area into a closet and sit there for 10 minutes, it will make you sick. Don't do it. If you follow our instructions that put it in 2,000 square foot surface area, you can be in there while it's working. If you're sitting here reading the book and the packet's over here and you start to smell like a chlorine smell, move the fan. You don't want to be breathing it for long periods of time. But it just wafts this chlorine dioxide gas through the air. It's invisible. It's usually undetectable. I mean, people go, so how long does it really put out a smell? Put your nose to it and you'll notice. Otherwise, you really don't notice it. So when you use it as directed, it is very safe. It's very effective. And we at OdorXit stand by our products. It has 100% guarantee. If it's not working like you think it should, OdorXit.com. Check us out. We have a chat. And we want to be sure you are successful. Because if you're not successful, we're not successful. So again, thank you for tuning in. This was renovation of the nose and remediation of your crawl space, basement, home. Thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a great week. And I'm sure that whatever I just said was going to be next week's theme, I'll probably change it. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great week. Thanks for being interested in OdorXit and an OdorXit customer. Have a great week.